Welcome back to Capitol Review. I'm Mark Hall. Washington, D.C. has officially entered the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. The FAA announced this week that dozens of airports across the country will start cutting flights, and that includes impacts right here in the DMV, DCA, Dulles, and BWI. Transportation Secretary says that it's to keep airspace safe as possible. With the shutdown, many airport staff have been without a paycheck, prompting staffing issues. President Trump has called for the busting of the filibuster is starting to gain traction among GOP senators. However, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries sent a letter to the White House demanding a face-to-face meeting with President Trump.
Democrats are the one that have been stalling. We need to bust it. Let's bust it.
We would do it so we can, for example, repair the damage done by Obamacare.
Give me a break. We've been trying to meet with Thune and Johnson since late July. We've been trying to meet with Trump since September, and they've said no.
He needs to get off the sidelines and get in the game. Because until he does, this government will remain shut down.
Joining us is Dr. Todd Belt, a political science professor at George Washington University. Professor, welcome back to Capitol Review.
Thanks, Mark. Great to be with you again.
We're always glad to have you. Professor, a lot of people are saying that maybe this SNAP program, the uncertainty of the SNAP program, maybe helped lawmakers really take a closer look at trying to find some sort of a resolution. Your thoughts?
I think that's right. I mean, we've seen the Trump administration do what it can to try to move some money around in a little bit of a shell game to try to keep a lot of federal workers and the military paid, of course, not all of them. But this is really going to affect a lot of people. And Republicans are very afraid of this, even though some of them have said it's going to hit hardest a lot of people in the inner cities. That's actually not supported by the data. 16% of the households who receive SNAP are in rural areas, and 13% of urban residents receive SNAP. So it's disproportionately going to hurt a lot of the people who live in those Republican districts. And there's 42 million people on it, and Donald Trump's appeals and trying to fight the courts to use that reserve fund is really not a good look.
Air travel and flight delays had an impact back in 2018, 2019. I would say that they probably have an impact right now.
You're right. That is really what stopped the shutdown last time around. And now we see the administration mandating a 10% cutback on flights. I actually flew in on Wednesday into Reagan National, and my flight was delayed an hour. So I don't think that this is necessarily playing politics with it, but just, the indication that, there is a safety issue, and some of these people are just not showing up to work because they're not getting paid.
You talk about playing politics. Who's winning the messaging game right now?
Yeah. Well, right now you have to think it's the Democrats. They've really got the wind in their sails after this election with the issue of affordability. And of course, this key issue of the Obamacare subsidies is about affordability, and it's about people being able to pay for their insurance. And, even Donald Trump said he thinks that the election results this week were about the issue of the government shutdown. I haven't seen data that indicates that, but other than maybe sort of tangentially, people are thinking the Republicans are not putting enough effort behind this with what they're doing.
Once a deal is in place, what happens next, and how fast can the government get reopened? What does that look like?
Right. First, it's up to the Senate, because they're the ones who have the ball in their court in terms of having a clean CR that goes through November from the House. But they're now talking about one that will go through January with a couple of supplemental appropriations bills. And that would have to go back to the House. And the House has a 72-hour rule. It's unclear whether or not they would want to suspend that rule for voting on a piece of legislation once they get it. So even if we do get a deal in the Senate, we're still probably a few days away from the House passing it. So we're not as close to the end as people might think so far.
Dr. Todd Belt, thank you so very much for joining us.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me on again.